Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope y'all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And a lot going on right now in the Call of Duty world. We've got more rumours coming out regarding what some of these rosters are doing for next year, but also Crimsix revealing some very interesting information about some of the players Dallas Empire tried to pick up last year and exactly how much they were rumoured to be costing. Very much intriguing your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Already up to the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, this from Scraps, I am grateful. What could this potentially mean? We know that Scraps is, at least he's considering right now retiring from professional Call of Duty, moving down the Warzone, the content side of things, as his kind of brother's done the last year or so. Difficult to say what exactly is going to go on there. Of course, we do wonder also, what are Paris thinking, right? What are they thinking in terms of replacement for Scraps, or like a, what roster are they actually going to field for next year? Because we really don't know too much about that roster right now. And I mean, I don't know if Scraps is even going to come back into that team, because who knows what Paris are doing. They seem to leave things very last minute indeed, and try and snap everyone up on a last minute contract. This from Hicksy then, one of the next up challenger SMGs in the European side. Been a lot of talk about Hicksy, been a lot of talk about Harry. The fact that, yes, London are going down the route of Zero, Afro, Nasty, and Gizmo, it seems, although not confirmed as of yet. What are Paris thinking, right? Are they thinking, okay, if we can't build a French team, are we going to build around maybe Hicksy and Harry and some of these guys that could contend with London and try and be that nice little rivalry going on there? In the European side of things, of course, all the teams still going to play out of the US. Is Hicksy going elsewhere, though, as, well, Crone is going to talk about it in just a couple of minutes' time? That is very possible, but I believe this may well indeed be CDL related. Exciting stuff to see. Hope that Harry gets his opportunity next up as well. But yeah, potentially another one of these players coming in for the amateur side, for the challenger side in the European region. That has an awful lot of potential. We've certainly seen that happen the last couple of years a fair bit in the CDL. This also from Methods, sources, and methods to address the nation shortly. KFC Gaming even kind of talking about right here the fact that, yeah, okay, maybe it is Captain America. He's coming to Washington and he's going to make everything work. Now, of course, we've heard rumours about this the last couple of days. Crone straight up comes out last night and says, yes, this is actually in the works. Methods did go on to say on the flank that, like, it's nothing guaranteed, it's not set in stone. Like, I'm still on Toronto Ultra as a substitute. Nothing is, well, no organisation, nothing's been signed, let's just say. But Methods didn't rule out the possibility that something like this may be in the works behind the scenes indeed. So we'll have to see what happens with Methods and what Ultra are looking to do going forwards as well. This also, just because, I mean, it's Grateful points out to me, like, it seems like the OpTic guys are just giving up hiding it at this point. They'll just do whatever. Every single day there's something like this coming out. Shotzi yesterday was playing with Blake and George from the TST, the Team Summertime, the OpTic side of things really. And also Rambo Ray was in this lobby as well in Warzone. So you've got Rambo Ray, former coach of the Dallas Empire. I mean, still, I guess, current coach, but probably not going to be called the Dallas Empire next year, with Shotzi, and then some of the OpTic guys as well. Seems like they've pretty much given up hiding this stuff, but at this point, to be honest, and yeah, likely that is what we are going to see going into next season. Let's talk about this then as well real quick, just because, well, as decided to point out right here, we discussed yesterday Crimsix versus the Los Angeles Guerrillas general manager and Alex Rubens, and the drama that they were having on the timeline, and some of the follow-up to that as well. There was one thing that I missed yesterday that I didn't quite discuss, because Crimsix, he's a multi-platform individual. He starts off on Twitch, having a go at some teams, having a bit of a rant, some clips get had, then he goes on Twitter, then he goes on a, rampage on Twitter as well, and then he takes it to Reddit, baby. So this guy's just, yeah, he's very multi-dimensional in his approach to things. But this is kind of interesting, as Alex Rubin says, when Crim was discussing, like, the fact that Zinni, Crimsix, like, maybe LAG wanted Zin instead of Crim, even though Crim was going to be like 5 to 8 times more money. But of course, it's Crimsix, right, the winningest player of all time. But as Alex says, no shade towards Zin, but I literally have zero idea what Crimsix is even referencing, and it's completely made up. That is simply not true. I can quote you directly if you want, so maybe he's got the DMs. I remember it vividly because it was the first time in my career where I realised that I might be forced into retirement because of someone else's decision, hypothetically, and it absolutely terrified me. So interesting to hear really from Crimsix. Of course, they did kind of straighten things out on the flank last night. We'll look at a clip from that in just a second. If you want to check out the entire episode, it'll be down below. So Crim and Alex did kind of get back on the right page, but certainly some interesting discussions that were had. So this is what Chrome comes out with last night. A few things. So these are kind of running through a few different rumours at the present time. Not all of these may come true, and relatively small things, but still pretty important implications. Paris Legion, we thought a couple of months ago they were just going to sell their spot and get out of here. Seems like that's not going to be the case anymore. The funny thing is really that Paris leave everything so last minute. They're like, okay, who's going to be left on the market in a couple of months' time? Who can we snap up for the lowest possible budget and try and make the World Championship, right, and try and come top 8 in the league? Like, I I don't really see what their intention is. I thought they were going to sell if they're going to try and do that every single year. It's getting pretty boring at this point, to be honest. But the fact of the matter is that they haven't come in and signed some of these, well, top-tier free agents means that Washington, who is so late to the party, right? It's kind of like LA Thieves for last year, where they come in very late. But at least LA Thieves, because they were OGLA before, had some players already signed to their roster. Whereas Washington are going to be brand new here, because Chicago's selling their spots because OpTic and Dallas are doing the merger. If you guys have been absolutely able for the last month or so, and then Washington coming in buying that spot off NRG, and considering signing Methods, Vivid, and maybe CleanX and others as well. So definitely the toppest tier free agents on the market. Does make you wonder what even Paris are going to try and do. Hixie is likely going to Ultra as a substitute, so by no means guaranteed, but that seems like another very interesting pickup really from them. If, I mean, look, we saw what happened with their European substitute last year in Insights, and now if they're going to bring Hixie into the team, then maybe like he's also a very aggressive SMG player, like kind of a CleanX type individual. Like, I don't know, that team could be kind of nasty if they require a player like that to come in and make something happen. Drill as a coaching spot, we looked at that yesterday, could be the subliners. That would kind of make sense, right, given that his history with Hydra and how you know, he really helped Hydra learn English to the point where he could go and join New York, there being Hydra, and have great success over there last season. Not, of course, the success they wanted. Maybe they'll get it this year. But if Drill goes over there as kind of like an assistant coach or something to Revan, then that might make a lot of sense in terms of bringing Hydra more into the team's cohesion and into the team's unit, because that kind of has been the discussion there with the language barrier, and not just the language barrier per se, but just understanding barrier can be a bit of a difficulty. So maybe Drill's going to help on that front. Just to run through Crone's coaching list at the present time. So Atlanta, we know what's going on there. Crowder, RJ, Easy Mack, and Tubac. Toronto have a fair stuff over there as well. Minnesota now, they've brought Looney into their roster. Seattle have Phoenix. Florida have Willits. Jacob's obviously on the LA Thieves, and we've got LAG with a fair bit of coaching staff there. Dominate over at London. Theory at Paris. Revan, JP, potentially Drill at New York. Dallas, Rambo, and or Sender, not really sure what's going on. And Washington, of course, very much unsure. And some of these guys that have been released over the last few, well, weeks or so, we also don't know where they are going to be ending up. This then is the, well, really interesting things that comes out last night on the flank, with Crimsix continuing on his absolute rampage of the last several days. Talking about the kind of buyout situation that Dallas Empire were dealing with last year. They were talking about, well, he was talking about Huke, right, and how much that was going to be costing, and people were saying it was 900k. That was not the case, because actually Vivid, his buyout from LAG, was more than Los Angeles Thieves even paid for Huke the other way around. So really interesting to hear. Also, the interesting thing I thought was the fact that Clayster, because they wanted Clay from New York, but New York got really good at the time they wanted Clayster. After like Huke was disappearing, they wanted to bring Clayster back and try Illy on the SMG. If you guys remember that one from a couple of months ago, but they couldn't get Clayster because New York actually got quite good at the time, and they decided to keep him over there. But still, the buyout from Clayster for Clayster from New York was actually going to be less, apparently, than it would have been to even get CleanX of London if they wanted him, and maybe they looked into him. I'll play the clip.
We don't like the rain here.
I want to get us back on topic, though. Crim, while you're here, and we're talking about the Reese situation, from your POV, like...
I will say that, okay, it was a reasonable price compared to all the other all the other players we were trying to get. Like, some of them were ridiculous. Like, they were expensive as hell. Like, I think CleanX was worth more than Clayster.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I will say that buying Reese was probably the most expensive sub purchase, like, probably ever made.
Really?
Yep.
Even more than, so you're saying it was more than the transaction you guys have made for Kyler at that point?
Yes.
That's good work, Alex. You cashed out, my guy. That's great work.
That's good work.
That's good work. Let's get Alex to the chat.
I don't know who the came up with that $900,000 for Kyler or something, but it wasn't that.
Damn, a 900,000.
No, he said the 900K wasn't true.
No, hell no.
I sure hope not.
900K. What is he, Lando North? What do you think?
Nico going
900K.
No, people. That was the rumor, and I'm saying that rumor was not true, dude.
Yeah, I don't know how that rumor even came out.
I'm saying Kyler buyout. I'm like 80%, 90% sure that Reese was sold for more than Kyler was sold for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So really interesting how these situations work behind the scenes of the buyouts, and like, you know, they're too expensive for some players. Certainly could well be. The fact that Clayster is less expensive than CleanX seems kind of mind-blowing. But at the same time, Crim also went on to say elsewhere, I think that like some coaches are getting paid $200,000 a year, and even, you know, there's players that are getting paid 50k, right? So some players certainly aren't getting what they necessarily deserve. This also from the flank real quick, just to talk about Drill and the subliners, because these were really the successes that he had alongside Hydra for quite a long stretch of time in the challenger scene. So definitely something that would make sense if if he does go over to that organization. This also from the flank, if the DC rumors are true, what would be a good name for that new team? I thought a lot of people talking about this, the Washington Call of Duty team, as their American football team is called, but I suppose we will just have to see on this front. We thought like Washington United sounds quite good, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like E-United are going to be involved with that organization, so probably that's not going to happen. I'm sure they've got some ideas at what they're thinking, and it's good to see another organization come into league and try and make something happen, because yes, if they do get Methods plus Vivid, like that seems to make sense, is that like if there were two players right now outside of the league, at least they're not signed as of yet, Vivid would be the number one, and then Methods makes a lot of sense as the number two. Paulx also a very solid pick, so I think they can make a pretty decent roster out of the players that are remaining. Not going to be maybe a top tier contender, at least initially, but you know, if Washington DC come in and like, look, we're going to try and pick up some players, they're pretty solid, and you know, they've also got some content backing as well, like Methods obviously, you know, he's a good pickup for a number of different reasons right now, but also you're thinking, okay, if we can maybe pick up Paulx plus Venom, or plus Vivid, sorry, maybe even Venom actually, I don't know why they came out of my mouth, but maybe Venom is a good option from Los Angeles Thieves last year, and Methods as well over there, and maybe get some other guy in if they need to, as maybe an up-and-comer amateur from the North American scene that could potentially become something big that they can build around for future seasons. So definitely I think a lot of promise really for this DC squad coming through. This also wanted to update you guys on from the whole Ricochet side. As Call of Duty say yesterday, we discussed the possibility of like this massive leak coming out and it getting like revealed, and all the anti-cheaters or all the cheaters, or like all the cheat manufacturers are kind of finding ways to get around it. This is what they say. Testing includes providing a pre-release version of the driver to select third parties. So I think what they may be saying here is that this pre-release version of the driver is what was like what was being talked about yesterday, that was being effectively counter-stratted by the cheat manufacturers, and maybe that's what they're counter-stratting, which doesn't really seem like it's going to be all that much, because you'd think Call of Duty would be pretty obscure on what they're releasing, right? So the cheat manufacturers can't just see this and make something that's going to take down the anti-cheat situation very simply indeed. This I thought also an interesting thread, because Crimsix of course yesterday was talking about all these cheap teams in the league, and I thought this was kind of interesting really from Defrag and Marky B and the like, kind of saying that like, look, at the end of the day, a lot of these organizations came in and massively overpaid, like a good chunk of players finished some ridiculous contracts, these kind of like 300k plus contracts we were talking about in year one, and now of course when the pandemic hits and everything happens, like you know, they certainly don't want to be in that situation, it seems, once again. So definitely trying to avoid that maybe by paying less, but definitely some stories of this I'm sure that a lot of players have heard about behind the scenes. And this also, Guess That Pro, I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty challenging one. If you guys can get it right, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. It's kind of tough to tell, but very much intrigued to get thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. I'm really upset that YouTube are gonna know you enjoyed this content, and people like you may enjoy this content as well, and upgrade the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you much as always, take care, and I will see you next time.